So look, if I can do this, you can do this, but it's going to be hard if you don't change your mind. You got to change. You got to change the way you think.
So what do we do to fix it? Well, the first thing you got to do is change thoughts.
You can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen.
Coaching programs, they don't start with the way we think first. They don't start with the way you change your thoughts. You know, if you change your thoughts, you can change your life.
An entire generation that's growing up with lower self-esteem than previous generations.
So the foundation is to change the way you think.
Right? There are four things, four characteristics. One is parenting, the other one is technology, the third is impatience, and the fourth is environment. The generation that we call the millennials, too many of them grew up subject to, not my words, failed parenting strategies, you know? Where, for example, they were told that they were special all the time. They were told that they could have anything they want in life, just because they want it, right? They were told, some of them got into honors classes, not because they deserved it, but because their parents complained. And some of them got A's, not because they earned them, but because the teachers didn't want to deal with the parents. Some kids got participation medals. You got a medal for coming in last, right? Which the science we know is pretty clear, which is it devalues the medal and the reward for those who actually work hard. And it actually makes the person who comes in last feel embarrassed because they know they didn't deserve it. So it actually makes them feel worse, right? So you take this group of people and they graduate school and they get a job and they're thrust into the real world, and in an instant they find out they're not special, their moms can't get them a promotion.
For our kids, we told them you're gifted, you're talented, you're a natural. It creates a fixed mindset. Kids have also gotten participation trophies, so this has created a sense of entitlement.
Help people that believe that they're much less than what they truly are. Help them find greatness in themselves.
But the American culture is soft.
Our youth today are soft. Players are soft, the kids are soft. And in my coaching program, I actually define 5 of the reasons I believe this is, that kids are soft.
The younger generation quits, not everybody. So I gotta put that, people get their butt hurt. So not everybody. Most of this generation quits the second they get talked to. You did this wrong, or they get yelled at. It's so easy to be great nowadays because everybody else is, most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it but still do it.
And so everybody sounds tough, and everybody sounds like they got it all figured out. And the reality is there's very little toughness.
What is mental toughness?
I think it's the ability to fight off hard things, whether that's critics, whether it's negativity from other people, or even in your own head, whether that's failure. You know, being mentally tough means you can push through barriers, obstacles, and things that stand in your way to get to being the best player, coach, person, whatever it is, and that you can possibly be. I think that's what mental toughness is.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Grit is a synonym for mental toughness, and its definition is the passion and perseverance to overcome obstacles and failure to achieve a long-term goal.
Tags! What is your profession?
So you have an entire generation growing up with lower self-esteem than previous generations, right? Through no fault of their own, right? They were dealt a bad hand, right? Now let's add in technology. We know that engagement with social media and our cell phones releases a chemical called dopamine. That's why when you get a text, it feels good, right? So, you know, we've all had it where you're feeling a little bit down or feeling a bit lonely, and so you send out 10 texts to 10 friends, you know, hi, 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 because it feels good when you get a response, right? Right? It's why we count the likes. It's why we go back 10 times to see if my Instagram is growing slower, did I do something wrong? Do they not like me anymore, right? The trauma for young kids to be unfriended, right? Because we know when you get a hit of dopamine, which feels good. It's why we like it. It's why we keep going back to it. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. In other words, it's highly, highly addictive, right? We have age restrictions on smoking, gambling, and alcohol, and we have no age restrictions on social media and cell phones, which is the equivalent of opening up the liquor cabinet and saying to our teenagers, hey, by the way, this adolescence thing, if it gets you down. But that's basically what's happening. That's basically what's happening, right? That's basically what happened. You have an entire generation that has access to an addictive, numbing chemical called dopamine through social media and cell phones as they're going through the high stress of adolescence. Why is this important? Almost every alcoholic discovered alcohol when they were teenagers. When we're very, very young, the only approval we need is the approval of our parents. And as we go through adolescence, we make this transition where we now need the approval of our peers. Very frustrating for our parents, very important for us. It allows us to acculturate outside of our immediate families into the broader tribe, right? It's a highly, highly stressful and anxious period of our lives, and we're supposed to learn to rely on our friends. Some people, quite by accident, discover alcohol and numbing effects of dopamine to help them cope with the stresses and anxieties of adolescence. Unfortunately, that becomes hardwired in their brains, and for the rest of their lives, when they suffer significant stress, they will not turn to a person, they will turn to the bottle. Social stress, financial stress, career stress, that's pretty much the primary reasons why an alcoholic drinks, right? What's happening is because we're allowing unfettered access to these dopamine-producing devices and media, basically it's becoming hardwired, and what we're seeing is as they grow older, too many kids don't know how to form deep, meaningful relationships. Their words, not mine. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial. They will admit that their friends, that they don't count on their friends, they don't rely on their friends, they have fun with their friends, but they also know that their friends will cancel on them if something better comes along. Deep, meaningful relationships are not there because they never practice the skill set, and worse, they don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress. So when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they're not turning to a person, they're turning to a device, they're turning to social media, they're turning to these things which offer temporary relief. We know, the science is clear, we know that people who spend more time on Facebook suffer higher rates of depression than people who spend less time on Facebook, right? These things balanced. Alcohol is not bad, too much alcohol is bad. Gambling is fun, too much gambling is dangerous, right? There's nothing wrong with social media and cell phones. It's the imbalance, right? If you're sitting at dinner with your friends and you're texting somebody who's not there, that's a problem. That's an addiction. If you're sitting in a meeting with people you're supposed to be listening to and speaking, and you put your phone on the table, face up or face down, I don't care, that sends a subconscious message to the room that you're just not that important to me right now, right? That's what happens. And the fact that you cannot put it away is because you are addicted, right? If you wake up and you check your phone before you say good morning to your girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse, you have an addiction. And like all addiction, in time, it'll destroy relationships, it'll cost time, and it'll cost money, and it'll make your life worse.
As I'm interviewing them, kids are spending 2 to 4 hours a day on their phones. This is an issue. They're not communicating and developing relationships. They're not creating solid foundation. They don't teach you about self-talk and visualization.
To myself, self-talk and visualization are the two keys to my success. I believed for that last 19 miles, I was indestructible.
Use visualization. I say this all the time. Visualization is the most underutilized tool available.
You were a kid and you set targets that were big, giant, had nothing to do with reason. They were giant, right? And then you had some difficulty getting to it, and somebody said, what? Dude, your goals are unrealistic. You need to drop your goals down. And add 40 years and end up with nothing. Certainly not congruent with your potential. How many believe you have more potential than you're going for right now? Dude, it's way up here. It's beyond what you're going for. So you want to set it here. I want to set my targets up here. I never lower a target. Never, ever. That's my target. I'll fail on my target. My whole lifetime I might fail on that target, but I won't let it go.
I don't teach you about goal setting. You know, that was one of the things in my life. I didn't set my goals high enough. What if you found a way to change your thinking, your beliefs, your attitude, how to set your goals and how to create your why? Something that taught you how to make your weakness your strength. are made by doing what others refuse to do in the countless hours when no one is watching. That's when champions are made.
So long for me to find. I just need a reminder before you go. That's when our hearts get separated. Passion burning is all I ever know.